60s, we felt the stain of segregation and racial discrimination. And when you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, you have to do something.
We cannot continue to accept these conditions of oppression, for this is not a struggle for ourselves alone. It is a struggle to save the soul of America.
When I participated in the movement, I was 15. It would not have been successful had it not been for ordinary little nobodies doing their part to make it happen.
By 1963, the full panoply of segregation was under attack. It begins to culminate on the streets of Alabama.
The campaign was directed against racial discrimination in Birmingham, the most totally segregated big city in the South.
I had a made-up mind that I could handle whatever was coming and be nonviolent.
In May, thousands of children march against segregation in Birmingham.
The city is determined to maintain order.
They're attacked by fire hoses, by police dogs.
To see children treated like this, the whole nation rose up in arms.
The events in Birmingham have sent a chill through most Americans.
What the movement did is dramatize the stakes between good and evil.
I will be present to bar the entrance of any Negro who attempts to enroll at the University of Alabama.
All of these incidents have a slow cascading effect on the opinion of the country.
I have a dream today.
And honestly, the opinion of President Kennedy.
I remember President Kennedy saying to us on one occasion, "We now understand."
This nation was founded on the principle that all men are created equal, and that the rights of every man are diminished when the rights of one man are threatened. Now the time has come for this nation to fulfill its promise.
Kennedy and Johnson proposed a far-reaching Civil Rights Act. It was not going particularly well.
It appears as though something has happened in the motorcade route.
Kennedy is shot to death in Dealey Plaza.
It's official now. The president is dead.
Johnson takes the oath of office on Air Force One, becomes president.
We have suffered a loss that cannot be waived. I ask for your help and God.
That night, Johnson is lying in bed and he's listing off things he wants to do. Foreign leaders that need to be called, funeral arrangements. But in the midst of this, he says he wants to pass the administration's civil rights bill without changing a comma. And it was kind of a remarkable moment because Johnson had a presidential race coming up. No more political man ever drew breath than Lyndon Baines Johnson. Johnson had been a senator from Texas, a segregated state. A lot of debate about to what extent he watered down civil rights legislation in the 50s, but he did. He was in no way a leading progressive. And so you wouldn't have bet that Lyndon Johnson was going to try to finish the work of Lincoln. Everything about that moment would have led him politically to have made all kinds of promises, all kinds of rhetorical nods to the civil rights legislation, but not to pursue it. There was something in Johnson's soul that led him to believe that this was the moment to strike.
We got a civil rights bill. It hadn't even passed the House, and it's November, and Hubert Humphrey told me yesterday everybody wanted to go home. When I asked the Congress Wednesday to just stay there, they pass them all. They won't do it, but we'll just keep them there next year till they do, and we just won't give up an inch.
It's so imperative. I think one of the great tributes that we can pay in memory of President Kennedy is to try to enact some of the great progressive policies that he sought to initiate.
Well, I'm going to support them all, and you can count on that, and I'm going to do my best to get other men to do likewise, and I'll have to have y'all's help. I never needed more than I do now.
Lyndon Johnson was a strong leader. He made a commitment to those of us in the civil rights movement that he would pick up where President Kennedy left off. And he did.
Lyndon Johnson risked just about everything for civil rights. As he later put it, what the hell's the presidency for if not to do the big things that other men might not?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to pass the Civil Rights Bill because it's morally right.
What Johnson then did from 63 to 64 is he created a remarkable coalition of Republicans and Democrats to pass a law that would finally undo what had been the racist reaction to the verdict of the Civil War.
I promise you here and now that we are going to pass a civil rights bill.
Lyndon Johnson was one of the great persuaders in American politics. The Johnson treatment, it was called.
We will pass the strongest civil rights bill in American history.
The trade-offs, the deals cut to get to a legislative solution is the work of politics.
July 2nd, 1964, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Bill into law.